Welcome to the Great Basin Fire Potential Briefing for Tuesday, July 18th. Over the next few days, we'll continue to have lightning across mainly central areas of the Great Basin. These thunderstorms will have a little bit more moisture than what we saw yesterday, so more of a mix of wet and dry, anywhere from western Nevada eastward across Utah, and then similar conditions on Wednesday with maybe even a little bit more coverage. Today we'll likely see more coverage than what we saw yesterday, and then maybe again an increase tomorrow. Still some gusty winds and drier conditions over parts of the Sierra Front, southern Idaho, and into southern areas of the Great Basin today, with gusts around 25 or 30 miles per hour and those RHs below 15%. On Wednesday, we'll continue with those gusty winds in the south, but then the ridge starts to build in later this week, and we will start to get warmer temperatures on Thursday, with much hotter conditions Friday into the weekend, especially across western areas of the Great Basin, and this heat will spread eastward through the weekend. Otherwise, lightning activity will start to decrease on Thursday and become more isolated or widely scattered. Precipitation, we did have thunderstorms yesterday, which were mainly on the drier side. We did have a couple locations that saw greater than 1/10 of an inch, but for the most part, very light amounts of precipitation associated with this lightning in Nevada and into Utah. We do have some early morning showers and thunderstorms already developing over parts of central areas of the Great Basin, and again, those thunderstorms will continue to increase through today. Great Basin fire activity was light to moderate yesterday across the Great Basin, with 26 new fires reported for just over 220 acres. So definitely seeing some additional starts and some additional activity across the Great Basin with these hotter temperatures and the return of lightning. Over the last 7 to 14 days, we've had very dry conditions, especially over this last week across the Great Basin, and this does not take into account what we saw yesterday, but again, those amounts were fairly light. Over the last 2 weeks, still very dry conditions in most areas, just some scattered precipitation over northern Nevada into parts of Idaho and Utah and Wyoming. Looking at our severe fire danger mapping system, this combines ERC and BI, showing a very high fire danger over parts of the southern half of the Great Basin, kind of mixed with high in there. And then as you go north, the severity certainly drops, but we certainly have pockets of very high to high fire danger all the way up into southern Idaho, especially in those lower elevations. Currently, our ERCs continue to rise steadily across the Great Basin. We're generally above normal in most areas, especially in those low elevations. We are seeing near record ERCs over parts of southeast Utah, and certainly ERCs above the 90th percentile across much of the southern areas of the Great Basin where our fuels are most critical. Further north, again, those ERCs have transitioned to above normal and will continue to head upwards going into this weekend with the return of those very hot temperatures and drier conditions. Our satellite loop from this morning shows the ridge of high pressure centered over the southwest, and this is keeping moisture moving around the ridge up into central Nevada and northern and central Utah. So again, you can see the cloud cover. We already have those showers and thunderstorms starting to develop this morning. We will continue to see that band increase as we go into the afternoon. Again, mainly where you see that cloud band, but certainly some isolated strikes outside of that as well. Further south, we will not have as much coverage of lightning in the southern areas of the Great Basin, but the humidity is a little bit higher than what it has been, so we might see some RHs in the 10 to 15% or even a little bit above range. So for later this afternoon, again, that moisture remains in place from western Nevada eastward into central and northern Utah, where the greatest concentration of lightning will occur, and again, a little bit more potential for some storms producing some wetting rain today. Our significant fire potential, we have no high risk, as we do expect a little bit more moisture with some of these storms, but I'm sure we will still have new fires, and initial attack will continue as we continue to get lightning. Otherwise, the very dry conditions in the far south also extend up into western Nevada. So our RHs today will be driest in the far south and in northern areas outside of where we'll see those showers and thunderstorms. And then winds today will be gusty, but generally gusts between the 20 to 30 mile per hour range in the south, and also along parts of the Sierra Front, with more gusts around 20-25 miles per hour further north up into Idaho. As we move into Wednesday, very similar conditions. The moisture moves a little bit further east, so we might lose some of that lightning coverage on the far west side of the state, but still that potential is there. And then the wetter storms, or at least better potential of some wet storms, will be anywhere from central and eastern Nevada into northern Utah. So still no high risk, although again, still expect initial attack and fires certainly to ignite with these thunderstorms. Relative humidity, again, very similar picture to what we'll see today, maybe a little bit higher humidity today in the areas where we'll see the showers and thunderstorms. on Wednesday than what we'll see today. Otherwise, the driest spots either side of that cloud band. And then the wind gusts will be decreasing, but still somewhat breezy in the south. As we move into Thursday, the ridge starts to build further west and north, and we start losing some of that moisture. Still enough moisture over parts of Nevada and Utah for thunderstorm activity, but coverage will likely be going down along with the moisture. So still expect starts going into Thursday with the lightning, and again the temperatures will start to heat up again. This Thursday will be likely the first day where temperatures will really start increasing in some of the valleys further north to near that 100-degree mark. Still no high risk, but you'll see further drying up further north across Idaho and northern Utah going into later this week. Relative humidity will be dropping as well, especially in Nevada as that drier air works its way north and west. Still that lingering moisture, so higher humidities in parts of Utah where we'll see some of those lightning activity on Thursday. Winds will be dropping off as the ridge builds in, so definitely a lighter day for winds on Thursday. You can see where the forecasted moisture is, where those thunderstorms will continue to occur. The better chances of any wetting rains will be anywhere from central and eastern Nevada up into parts of central and northern Utah, with any thunderstorms on the fringes being on the drier side. As we move into Friday and the weekend, the ridge really starts to build. We'll be seeing this heat spread across the Great Basin from south and west to east and north. And so these temperatures will be well above normal, and we'll even see some areas approaching records as we go into the weekend. So very hot, still dry, and then again, still some moisture lingering, so possibly still some of those isolated thunderstorms, but coverage certainly decreasing. Going into Saturday, very hot temperatures as those ridge builds, and we will see that significant fire potential, a lot more brown on the map than yellow. And then continuing going into Sunday. So still lingering moisture. Will probably not lose thunderstorm activity across the Great Basin going through the weekend, but it certainly will be more isolated, but still very hot temperatures and dry conditions. We do have moisture that'll start working its way up north into California later in the weekend around the ridge, and so that will start moving into western areas, especially going into early next week. As a trough moves in, that will help really generate or push that moisture north and help generate some of those thunderstorms increasing going into next week. So again, temperatures today and tomorrow, temperatures stay about the same. We might see a little bit of a drop off in temperatures tomorrow, but then temperatures start heating up Thursday, and by the weekend we'll see most valley areas above 100 degrees. Precipitation for the 7-day, not much different than the 3-day, as most of the moisture with the thunderstorms will occur here in the next few days, with more isolated and drier activity after that. And then the 8 to 14-day outlook from July 25th through the 31st still shows those very hot temperatures, but the moisture, better chance of that moisture continuing, especially over southern and eastern areas of the Great Basin as we get later in the month. So definitely more chances of moisture returning from the south. That concludes our webcast for today. Check back tomorrow for the latest updates.